Yeah, good evening, folks. This is Apostle William Mbae. Welcome to your favorite podcast, right? As men, as males, as folks that understand that unless we have a man, we don't have a woman. Yes, what I'm saying is that this is mankind, the 254 male, and the capital men's ministry. You're most welcome here. Feel at home, and I hope that you've had an amazing time since we were last together talking about sexual appeal and the sexual urge. What I have at heart this Saturday, for your masculinity Saturday, as it were, is to briefly explore, as it were, what it would take you to understand a woman. I think it's apparent that there are two main inroads available in nature and readily availed by any form of sensible outlook as a man into understanding a woman. And these are things that might appear obvious, but they are not exactly obvious, because we are living in a generation that does not want to be natural, in the fear that being natural will expose you to the supernatural. We are living in a generation that would rather be plastic, because it takes such feats of ingenuity, the art of being a phony, the art of being, insensible to common sense, for you to go completely berserk. In other words, if you want to go haywire, about the details of, gender naturalism and the art of being female, as it were, one of the most efficient pathways to that end is to be fake, right? It will take a clown in order to abuse, women, in order to abuse their responsibility and their office of being male. Folks, it will take someone that does not appreciate that there are things that were before he was. There are things that don't move even when his temperament changes and his opinions shift, for us to have the kind of scenario we are experiencing today, right? If you want to be sober, be natural. Begin with being natural if you are going to be reasonable. And anytime we find ourselves, as this case in point, all the more wafting away from naturalistic expressions of nature and psyche, and physiology, then we end up manifesting things that are even further from the will of God, because God will always build from the known to the unknown. So if you ridicule the known, then you end up manifesting the wrong unknown. God works from the known to the unknown. So if you ridicule the known, you end up manifesting a ridiculous unknown. And this is where we find ourselves, as it were. So what are the two fundamental ways of understanding a woman, or three? The first key to unlocking a woman is to understand that a woman is so that seed can be. If you don't look at a woman from the standpoint of her being created to sire children, right, to carry a pregnancy, to nurture a newborn, to be the most efficient, right, as it were, run to person in the days of a child's infanthood, then you are not preparing yourself to understand a woman. I don't know whether women understand that one of the most apparent ways of determining who they are is actually to look at themselves and to implore others to look at them through the lenses of nurturing children, which is hosting their conception, carrying them through the obvious gestation period, giving birth to them, taking care of them, and being that very fundamental base in their upbringing, which of course is the detail of motherhood. So I want to implore us as young men this day that if you want to be honest about your quest to understand a woman, start from there. That if she is not married, she doesn't want a big bicep more than she wants a father of her children. If she is married and she doesn't have children, she is in two moments. She's in the moment of your hijink or joke and indulgence, and she is also in the moment when a baby will be on her laps that she is nursing. She'll be in two moments. If she has children, it's actually going to take discipline on her part to satiate you as you'd want to be satiated in terms of attention and prioritization. And balance that with having to cater for the needs of the babies and the children that are around her. So this has to do with touch, that she will conduct her body, exalting everything that gives advantage to her security, because she's wired to be cautious about the fact that she is carrying life in her. This has to do with the psyche of her psychology, as it were, because apparently what you are saying to her, you're saying to her children. So she will listen to hear whether her children would be, wow, this is good for courtship. She will listen to hear whether her children would live with that. How you're talking to her would be how she would imagine you will talk to the babies that the two of you will get. And when you get married and there are children here, the discussion will begin to revolve around not just how your vision will advance, but how your vision will be propelled forward in light and in the purview of having children with you. So she'll be there as their attorney, whether directly or indirectly, and more often than not, quite poignantly towards securing the unsaid or the unspoken needs of the babies that the two of you have. So when you are seated talking with this woman, whether you are married or not, whether you are courting or not, begin to break through to that fact that she is not just here everything about her, her spirit, her soul, and her body, are conscious of the fact that I'm a representative. I'm here on the behalf of my children, and I am supposed to be voicing what they would voice if they were adults or if they were given an opportunity to speak out their needs. And that is part of who they are. It's not part of what they have to be conscious about being. It's not something they think through so that they can table on those discussions. It's not something that they would want you to deliberate on, all right? Like, where do you end so that children can begin, all right? I am everywhere, and my children are everywhere. My passions, my desires, my paradigm, my outlook is all enmeshed in and around the idea of the fact that I'm supposed to be a seed carrier and a seed manifester. So that will help you understand the extremities of her behavior. It will begin to equip you to appreciate why things such as emotionalism are very invested in them, because the emotional capacity of a woman will equip her to utter, all right, things that their children are saying, even though they are not here. The emotions of a woman will equip her to say things that her children are saying, even though they are not here. They are not here in that they cannot say it to you, right? Being their father. They are not here in that they are yet to be born. But that investment is also catering for the reality of having a people inside a person, speaking and securing their end through somebody's emotions. So that now we come to the other thing that most fundamentally cements that point, that you have a Rachel, right, that has two things. She has beauty and she has the love of her husband. But a day will come when she will say, give me children or I die. Give me children or I die. And I don't know whether you would want to step into the shoes of Jacob at that point, where you begin to ask, wait, all right, am I in God's stead? All right, am I in God's stead? What does that mean? It means that her understanding of supply is children, so that she can be beautiful. Her understanding of supply is children, so that she can have a consummation that is the love at play. You'd have to understand that I am first predisposed to have children so that I can experience my beauty. I'm not beautiful first, then I have the capacity to have children. I am capacitated first to have children before I am given the privilege to savor my beauty. My thoughts are centered around the idea of having children before I am even granted, right, the other is rare privilege of sitting to the possibility of being more beautiful than my sister. What is beauty that supersedes my sisters? when I don't have a womb that is more fruitful than hers, or at least equally fruitful than hers. All right, so that I am already beautiful and I never ask for more beauty. But when I have a son that is called Joseph, I ask for another son. My goodness, I'm already beautiful. I am not asking for more beauty now that my sister Leah is come. But the day when I get a son, I will call them Yosef, which means Jehovah shall add. Add the children. The beauty can store. The beauty can be what it wants to be. It can tend to whatever direction it wants to tend, but add children. So we come now to the second aspect of understanding the woman, which is basically vesselship. That the man of God said that she is the weaker. The woman is the weaker vessel. She is the vessel. She's supposed to contain, and not just contain, she's supposed to carry what you have. You know, I get alarmed when young men are concerned about the questions that are being asked and the near pestering for details that is flowing from the heart of the woman to their solical wiring. It is questions, it is concerns, and it is burdenship. And you are there wondering, what do you mean? And the psychological orientation of a woman tends towards dependability, so that as she depends on you, she is better equipped to carry what you have. She is the carrier of what you have. Now, of course, we are in a very horrible generation, because people already think that to carry what I have would mean that you are carrying my money, you are carrying my car key, you are carrying, the attention I should be getting. All of it is invested in you or redirected to you, word. And this is the thing that you have to co-opt if you want to begin to understand the kind of person that a woman has become. What are we co-opting? The idea that she has nothing to do unless there's something you are doing, because she's supposed to carry the spirit of profit that you are using to do whatever it is that you are doing. She has nothing to think about until your thoughts overflow and they become something that you're talking about, so that she can hear it. She doesn't have identity until your vision identifies her. She doesn't have identity until your vision identifies her. So if she can find her place in your vision, then she has an identity, because she's there to carry. She's there to bear the burden as it were. So if I have an idea, I will put it in her. If I have a thought, I'll put it in her, so that she can be this very robust vessel that carries the thing that make William Mbae. And that is the wisdom of God. The wisdom of God is that he will not just do things. He will not just execute his purposes. He will have people that are carrying the burden of his purposes. Right? That is the father for you, having a wife, right, or a betrothed damsel called Israel. Israel is betrothed to God, and Israel is there carrying the heart and the purposes of God for the nations. So God will not just do it. He will raise a prophet so that Israel can carry the burden that he has for the nations. That prophet will be among the children of Israel, so that the children of Israel can begin to interact with the mind of God concerning the nations. God will not just execute his mind, he will reveal his law to a nation, so that that nation can carry the burden that he has for the rest of the world. Such is the wisdom of God, and it is to be eternally praised. That I know you can do exploits as a young man. There is apparently nothing that you can't do. They said that no human is limited, but I want to suggest that you are actually very limited, because according to God, there are things you cannot bring to maturity until they are transferred from your heart into the heart of a woman. You will manifest very juvenile expressions of fits if what you have has not rested upon a vessel called a woman. So it will not be fully baked until it is in the oven of her heart. It will be convoluted until it has rested upon the utterance of her spirit. It will be rushed until it has been slowed down by the presence of a woman. It is rushed, I tell you, until it has been slowed down by the presence of a woman. That is very sobering to me. That most of the times, why this doctrine or purview faces a lot of constructive skepticism out there is because if you are telling us to incorporate them, one of the things we shall handle is either a very cumbersome bureaucracy or a very stalled process, all right, which in most cases are not, is actually quite unnecessary. Because if you want to buy a piece of land and you have the money, just go and buy, right? Having children is not the conventional way anymore. You can get children anyhow without going through the process of conception, gestation, and of course bringing up your young in a family setup. There are many other ways of doing what you are being told to do through a woman. You can go online and listen to a guru that has done that thing before, and they can share their wisdom, and you go and apply it exactly the way you had it. And because, as it were, ideas implemented the way they were transferred will give you the initial result. So you just go and execute them. All this other is bureaucracy, like going through the process of marriage, having that cordial relationship with your wife that allows you to, over time, transfer some of your deepest thoughts to her heart. Having to sit to these family table meetings or having your pillow talks and having to constantly share and talk about what is in your mind and getting her feedback. All that is a lot of roller coaster, when the target is actually in view and we can just get to it, right? I mean, this is the bird that I'm supposed to hit, and this is my stone. Why don't I just go ahead and hit it? All right? Extrapolate that to actually mean that a man would rather something that is straightforward, as opposed to something that must involve either screening or an accountability system, or even that naturalistic way of handling a familial vision that plays out in a very grave way when a woman is in the house. Why must it be so? And folks, permit it to be thus. That you are not slowed down. You are given time to synthesize your purpose. It is not bureaucracy. It is what it will take to transfer your feet from being ephemeral to being eternal. It is not having to submit my very superior thoughts to a weaker vessel. No, it is checking whether my thoughts are actually laden with a lot of weaknesses, in blind spots, and in apparent goofs, right? So that we can have not just accomplishments, but eternal entrenchments, so that we will not just have things that were done with greatness in the detail, but things that were done with precision, especially precision. Not just the greatness of the act, but the precision of it, so that we will allow ourselves to be slow at it, so that out of being slow we can be established, as opposed to rushing to accomplish things that can be shaken by the realms of the spirit. So what is this very precious key of understanding a woman? That she will flow according to what you have put in her. She will be unable to flow if you have not articulated what she is able to carry. The context of her reach will be by the altitude of your vision. So if this is your expectation, what has been your hearty investment? If this is what you are waiting for, what have you carried with all your weight and with all the divine help that you can amass? What have you carried and placed inside this vessel? So if it is responding by an X gesture, it is because it is a cluster of X's that were poured into her vessel. So why did you put Y and you've been waiting to harvest X? Why are you waiting for X, yet it is Y that you suggested? Don't you know that the coming of a woman actually postured you to a life of systematic harvest? That I am getting not just what I want, but what I put in. I will have not what I have desired, but what I have beyond desiring put in her heart. Ultimately, I will have not just what I desire, but what I have beyond desiring put in her heart. Yeah. Yeah. Great Thank you so much for listening in. It's my prayer that you've been blessed by today's session. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. Thank you for following us. Thank you for commenting on our content. Thank you for reproducing this content so that it can help more people that would readily benefit from it. Thank you so much. Until next time, God bless you richly. Bye-bye.